Hey everyone, AGodlessProgressive here. This is going to be a video response to Greek Fire for Christ. Um, she made a question video to atheists, and I'm just going to respond. I should preface this by saying that my answers are going to appear to be a bit repetitive, but that is because of Greek Fire for Christ's presuppositions in her question. She basically has two things that make me answer the question in this way. So she has this presupposition that says God is real, and because God is real, that is the default. Now, because of that presupposition, my answer is going to be sort of repetitive. But anyway, I just want to get that out of the way. So let's begin.
Hi, Great Fire for Christ here, and I was just watching some videos on a couple of subjects on, if Jesus was a conservative Christian. Yeah, if Jesus was a modern-day conservative Christian, yeah, we'd all be screwed. But luckily for us, Jesus wasn't a conservative. If anything, Jesus was more socialist. So we're good there. And what is it with people constantly attacking the belief systems of others that they don't understand? How could you hope to understand something that you've already studied with a bias?
Now, see, the issue I have with that is that the presupposition that you're starting with which is believing in God is not a bias. I mean, believing in God and reading the Bible with that presupposition that God is real is going to affect how you view the Bible. So, for you to say that atheists have a bias, you seem to not understand or not comprehend the idea that you're the one actually with the bias, and atheists really don't have a bias.
If you've studied it from the perspective of this is not real, this is BS, this is fake, this is false, how do you expect to get anything out of it? If you cannot take it from an unbiased perspective, how do you expect, please answer the question, how do you expect to find anything if you cannot study from an unbiased position?
Here the issue is you're starting from a presupposition of God is real, and believing in God is the default position. But saying there is a belief in God is an assertion. It is not an assertion to not believe in God. And I think that's the issue we have here. What you sort of need to understand is that atheism is not an assertion of something. Atheism is a negation of the theist position. Atheism is the negation of the theist position. It is a response to theistic claims. It is not an assertion of something. It is not an assertion of a truth. It is the negation of theistic claims. You are refuting theistic claims if you are an atheist. You are not asserting claims if you are an atheist. And that's what I think the issue is here. You kind of don't understand that as a theist, you are asserting something. Therefore, you have the burden of proof to prove that this God exists, to prove that the claims that you make about your God are actually true. as an atheist, I have all the right in the world to say that your claims do not meet the burden of proof. And how do I know they don't meet the burden of proof? Because the Bible has been contradicted by things that we know in the world. The world is not 6,000 years old. It's like 6 billion years old. Okay? We know the flood didn't happen. Okay? Women were not created out of man's rib. Okay? Jews were never in Egypt. So there was no Exodus. I mean, I could keep on going on and on and on with these things that are demonstrably false. And that is why I have every right to say theistic claims do not meet their burden of proof. But that is not an assertion of a position. The assertion is a theist saying, I believe in God. That is the assertion. And that is where the burden of proof lies. And I think you sort of don't get that or don't understand that.
You're doing what you accuse Christians of doing all the time. Endeavoring to learn something, but already starting with the answer.
See, again, atheists are not asserting things. Theists are asserting things. You see, atheism is the default position here. Atheists aren't asserting anything. They're saying what the theists, as an atheist, I say, I'll believe whatever you want me to believe. I just need some proof that this is actually real and this is actually happening. And this is actually a factual statement of reality. What theists do, theists start with a presupposition that God is real and God exists. And they fit things into their worldview. Atheism doesn't do that because atheism, A, is not a worldview, and B, asserts nothing. All it does is refute theism. So again, I think we have a misunderstanding of what exactly is being said by atheists and theists.
You're starting by saying that God isn't real and the Bible is a book of fairy tales, and then you study it as though it's a book of fairy tales rather than unbiasedly saying, I don't know what this is, so I'm going to look at it objectively and see what happens.
See, there, you're asserting that. See, the only way to assert that is if you believed that that no atheist was ever a Christian. And that's demonstrably false. So again, what you're saying here is not brought by the truth of it. Myself, I was a Christian at one time in my life. I am now an atheist. So to assert that I looked at the Bible when I was a Christian and said the Bible is a bunch of fairy tales is false. That is a falsehood. I'll say a majority of atheists at one time were Christians or Jews, or they believed in one of the Abrahamic faiths. Okay. A majority of them. So to say that we're starting with this presupposition that God doesn't exist is just demonstrably false. It's just not true. What is the unbiased thing to do? What is the objective thing to do? Is that even though I have this presupposition about God existing, I'm still going to read the Bible and I'm still going to point out the claims and test that against other evidence that's outside of the Bible and see and things and test that against things that are outside of the Bible, things that might actually contradict the Bible, and see if the Bible's claims hold up to that scrutiny. If they do not hold up to that scrutiny, well, then that means the Bible is false. That is being objective. And that is what I believe most, if not all, atheists have done.
Please, just, give me a word or two on that. How can you expect us to defend the Word of God when you already have an answer in your head?
Okay, I have to think this is projection on your part. Because, again, atheists don't assert anything. Theists assert things. I mean, so I have to think that this may be a bit of projection, that you think, oh, well, I'm asserting something, so atheists must be asserting something. No, atheists assert nothing. Like I said, I will believe anything you want me to believe. I just have a standard of evidence that needs to be met. Now, obviously, the issue with the God hypothesis is the God hypothesis makes fantastical claims. So the burden of proof is higher than it would be for a different sort of claim. But still, if that burden of proof was met, I would have no issue with being a theist. None whatsoever. But the issue is theists, and theism in general, does not meet their burden of proof.
I'm not saying that you have to play fair, but, just ask yourself that question. Where are you any different than the people you harp on when you already start with the answer?
Yeah, I do believe myself to be different than the people that I harp on. I don't believe I harp on people, but if that's how you want to, that's what you want to call it, if that's what you want to label it, fine. But I believe it's just me asking for evidence for the claims that you're making. That's what I believe it to be. But if you want to say it's harping, fine. Um, but I do believe myself to be different in the fact that I rejected theism when it makes sense not to reject it from a societal standpoint, from a social, societal, cultural standpoint. It makes sense not to reject theism, and yet I still rejected it. So, yes, I do think I'm different. Most people do not reject theism, and they come up with rationalizations to accept theism. And I do think that I'm different and that I rejected it. I don't, and I think that's bared out by the statistics. I mean, I live here in America, and 80% of the country are theists. They are Christians or Muslims or they believe in some sort of faith. They believe in a God of some sort. 80% of this country believe in a God of some sort. So just merely by definition, I am different because I reject theism.
And then you go out and retrieve information that backs up your answer and only backs up your answer.
Again, I don't think I do that. I think I actually accepted the claims that did back up my answer because, like I said, I used to be a Christian, and I accepted answers that did back up my claims. So again, I think that's sort of one, you projecting a little, and two, you making broad generalizations of atheists. So,
Trust me, I'm just as annoyed with the young earth theorists who do the same thing. If you're going to study anything, you need to do it from an unobjective perspective, and when I did, you can see by my screen name the direction I went in. But what's your excuse?
okay, well, there's really no excuse. Again, I feel like this video sort of fails because, again, it started with this presupposition that God is real, therefore it is the default position. It is not the default position. The default position is to say, I don't know, and I'll just go wherever the go wherever the evidence takes me. You're starting as a theist, you're starting with the presupposition that God is real. Therefore, you are biased. Everything you read in the Bible, you're going to be predispositioned to believe because you want to believe in this God. Me, on the other hand, I am just going wherever the evidence takes me, and therefore, I am more unbiased than you. If anyone is biased here, it is you, not me. All right, everyone. That's all I have. I will talk to everyone later. God's progressive. Peace.